Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person who make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or retransmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings and transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived by those present, and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Roll call, please.
Mr. Aguirre?
Here.
Mr. Coogan?
Yep.
Mr. Costa? Mr. Hetzler?
Here.
Mr. Corey?
Here.
Mr. Martins?
Here.
Mayor Correa?
Here. Let us look to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do not have anyone signed up for public input time. This is the special meeting of the school committee. One topic on tonight's agenda, which is the school year 2019 to 2020 goal settings facilitated by our superintendent, Dr. Matthew Malone. And then following this meeting, we'll have a regular scheduled school committee.
So we're going to do today what we've done the last 3 years, is discuss, come to an agreement on some mutually supportive goals for the district for the 2020 school year. And the way we've done this successfully over the last 3 years is start today, get a draft, and then come back to the committee a couple times with iterations to get to a final document. What we've also done over the last several sessions is that we actually get up and move around, and I act as a facilitator. We can turn the camera over there, and I think we can get the best work done. So if you can join me in just grabbing a seat, and we'll all just kind of work in that direction regarding the goals. You ready? Lisa's making a couple more copies, so everyone has one individually, and I'll give you these right now. All right, so what we identified in our executive team, looking at what we did last year, and where we wanted to go this year and make improvements, we identified, this is similar to last year, 7 goals. Now, of the 7 goals that we thought at the executive level, that we thought were important to keep, was the accountability goal. That's what the state is going to give us an accountability score on this coming fall. So I don't have that data yet, which we'll start reviewing in the superintendent evaluation subcommittee meetings. But the first goal was to essentially keep for this year the metrics that the state uses. So that was around the student attendance, MCAS scores, chronic absenteeism, all those indicators. So we're going to get sometime in October or November a score based on those metrics from last year, and they'll set new targets for us. So as I said last year, I want to be held accountable for the district's accountability from the state. We keep that the same as we have each year, and we'll just fill that in when we start doing the superintendent evaluation. On top of that, we identified, and we have each year we have learning and teaching goals. So English, math, science, social studies, and social emotional learning. This year, because we have 6 schools in the school turnaround process with the state, we kept one plan. So we have an action plan for each of those goals that is in this individual schools plans that were submitted to the state and the district plan submitted to the state. So we're going to maintain those, and that's around English, math, science, social studies, and learning and teaching. So we keep that goal center because that's how we're going to measure student achievement. That's what we're focusing on. All right, how we teach reading, how we teach literacy, numeracy, and those things. The third goal that we articulated was the extended learning time model in Fall River. We want to study that model. We want to bring forward a report that includes both quantitative and qualitative data, and then make recommendations to this committee based on that. Essentially what we need to answer is, what is ELD in Fall River, and is it sustainable moving forward? So that's what we, in our articulation of a goal in this regard, is to spend time really studying this issue and then bring back to the committee before budget season our recommendations. Now, this is fascinating in that over the 4 years, ELT has grown. We used to just have 3 schools, and now we have, I think, 6 with various times, from 20 minutes to 90 minutes. And that we really want to do a solid breakdown to give you all the information you need. Is this cost sustainable? Is it making a difference in student achievement? Is it making a difference in terms of our ability to retain teachers? Is it making a difference in the ability of families to have care and coverage for their children? So that is a big goal for us this year. Concurrent with that is the gifted and talented education program. So we want to do the same exact thing, which we've already begun this past year, was the analysis of the gifted and talented program, and bring back to the committee some recommendations on sustainability, on growth, around training, all the pieces. Is it making a difference? Who are the kids that are in it? Are they sticking with us up through Durfee? What are their achievement levels? How's the achievement going? Etc. So we want to do a deep analysis, and we've been working on this in a task force now for the past several months, and we'll bring that to the committee also by the winter. Our 5th goal was around special education. As you know, the Walker Report that we contracted services, the Walker Report came out with several recommendations for us around program improvement. And what we're suggesting as a goal in special education is to implement the recommendations, work with the special education subcommittee, define very nuanced program enhancements and or increases to ensure that we're working on bringing more kids back in the district, saving costs, and investing those cost savings in better program development in the district. An example of that would be how the Stone School has grown from 37 kids to upwards. We served over 80 kids here the past year. And of those 7 we're contracted service, contract tuition from sending districts, which is a huge thing for us. Each child is a fee, and other districts are sending their kids to us in that day school. The 6th goal was around early childhood education, and we approached that the same way that we did on the gifted and talented and extended day. We want to look at current seat. We want to look at ability to grow. We want to make this a Fall River initiative that we invest in the education of 4-year-olds and expand our early childhood model. There's some pros and cons to doing that. Mostly pro. The con is right now each one of these kids is only reimbursed at half of a 1-point FTE from the State Department. So we pay for the other half of the education in the full-day program. We have full-day program in place at Fonseca and I believe Doran, and then the other programs are half-days. We have a new director of early childhood, as you know, and this is a real push for us this year as we think about what can be the true difference maker in Fall River public schools for kids. It is, I believe, early childhood, but we're going to bring forward a robust analysis report and recommendations. And then finally, our 7th goal that we identified was around facilities and capital improvements. And That's really managing all the work that we have going on and being held accountable to doing that. So we have several projects in play right now. We have several more projects in the pipeline, in the queue, and we're going to be managing also projects that we've talked about and we've put some money behind, but there may be more money to put behind, and that includes the Sylvia egress and regress, and the Henry Lord egress, regress, and
Egress.
yeah. You got So those are really the pieces of the facilities capital. I mean, I think it's critically important that we acknowledge that the capital facility improvement plan, plus also the preventative maintenance. This is a hot button issue with the city council, with the mayor's administration, and I know with the school committee and the taxpayers. So we want to make sure that we're project managing this appropriately under the governance of the school committee. So having said that, these are the goals that we bring forward to the committee, and now is the time for the committee to provide recommendations on other goals or additions into these goals. You can see, I know Mr. Aguirre last year talked about making sure that we're being smart in the measurement, that we're going to articulate in this year's goals successfully measured by, and we'll articulate the metrics once we start fleshing these out and writing them. So every one of these has deliverables in a timely manner that we can assess. So at this point, are there other goals that you guys have been thinking about that are important to you for this school year that you think are at the level of school committee superintendent goals?
Chapter 74, especially at the high school level, more in our continued focus on hands-on education. It's suitable to our population here in Fall River.
All right, so in the past couple of years, we've had a section called Pathways. And in Pathways, we include Chapter 74, alternative ed, and other early college model programs that we have. So sustain, like, that's something we do. We didn't articulate it as a goal for this year, but we can easily add that because it's ongoing. I'll give you an example. This year, we're working with People Inc. at RPA for the CNA program. We're going to build our own lab. But as we looked at it, we got the tools and materials to do it. No matter what, it's not going to be as good as the lab at BCC. So now working with BCC, we're going to be able to use their space concurrent and with People Inc. providing the transportation for those kids. So that's a win-win for us. We're going to be doing the same with the culinary. So that's all under programming that we have an alternative ed. Like that's an example of a win that we're going to be able to say. The last year I think we graduated 15 kids from that program. This year I hope it's double that.
So you mentioned the special education and the out-of-district placement stuff. So I was happy you mentioned it, but I really want to stress that. I want to make sure that we're creating as many of those programs here in district. That way we're not sending kids out. And it's something I've been saying for a while, and I just want to, like I said, I'm happy I saw it here. I just want to, as much as we can. If we have to create space, if we have to hire people, the right specialists in order to keep the students here in district.
So, I mean, couple good things. Already, because you guys created the speech and language assistance, we're able to get a couple people in. So we're not contracting those services. That will build our own, actually, full-time professionals. The Walker report articulates a whole bunch of program development ideas. Michael Loesch has brought a bunch of ideas, and he's thinking about systematically about how we structure and build those programs in places, and there's some missing links that would definitely allow us to get some kids to come back in the district. And that's definitely, I agree with you, that's a very important goal for us this year.
Right? It goes hand in hand with transportation later on if we're sending them,
It does.
right, to reduce those costs.
Question here.
Yes.
You know, when I'm looking at this for the extended learning time, number 4, number 5, actually number 6 as well, in there, the measured by. Let's not play games or beat around the bush with how it's measured in there. The actual measurement is the improvement on the MCAT scores by the students. That's the ultimate measure in there. There is nothing else. That's the ultimate measure in there. So that, you know, the extended learning time, what is that impact on that particular school in increasing the student learning for every school that has an extended learning time in there? Has it increased student learning, and by how much? What's measurable? 10%? Well, I revert back to the budget for the current fiscal year that we're in. Right now, every principal says, oh yeah, we're going to reach 10%, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. Well, I'm waiting to see what happens in October, November, when the MCAT scores come out for 2018. 2019, well, that's actually for 2019, because that'll come out in November.
Right.
And see if it indeed get to there. You know, don't tell me you're going to do something, and when it doesn't happen, come up with all kinds of excuses as to why it doesn't happen. If that goal was utopia, then, wait a minute, it's an unrealistic goal. What is realistic? And now, did you accomplish that realistic goal, or did you not accomplish that realistic goal? Is the school, any particular school, is it making progress, or is it rather stagnant?
We're going to provide all that information, Mr. Myers.
I'm sorry?
We're going to provide all that information.
Okay, I'll be looking forward
Yep.
to it.
Thank you.
I put a lot of value on the MCAS test, but I don't think that that's the most important metric that we're going to look at our kids with. I think you also have to look at attendance,
Yep, it's all.
parental involvement, assessments,
Can I,
scores,
can I have
grades.
last year's goals? Do you have
Yeah.
goals? Please, sir.
That test is one piece, but what I don't see stressed anyway here is the human capital part of it, our human resources, our teacher retention,
Yeah.
our
I think that's a good
minority
one.
recruiting. I know those are all hard slogs, so we don't have, there's not one goal here. You look at like number 2, number 4, number 6, those are almost all learning and teaching.
So, I mean, yeah, we've had the human capital goals for the last 3 years. And just like pathways, critically important part of our daily discipline. What specific do you think is a good idea for this year? I mean, I know we're going to be talking tomorrow about this pipeline program with the higher ed, which is a good thing. I mean, that could be something that we target as this year's goal, the success of that.
I spoke with the president of BCC the other day about a paraprofessional training program which could morph into a teaching program, because now that they need 60 credits, I would like to see us be able to partner with BCC to better train our paras. We're requiring 60 credits to get a para job or the para pro test. I think if we could get something going there, then we could funnel those paras that come out of an associate's degree at BCC into a traditional teacher program. The more I'm reading about these traditional teacher programs, I'm not all that keen on some of them. But I think if we have something like that going with what we're going to talk about tomorrow, well, I think we can improve teaching in the district.
I mean, I think this is a good school committee goal, because it's something that we can actually deliver on and show results.
Tangible, yeah.
And we can say, how many teachers were served, what was the, how many did we hire? It's definitely something that, and I guess, to be honest with you, the only reason why I didn't bring these 2 back was, you know, trying to go with the less is more, but I mean, we can condense it, because these two are, I guess, are part of our daily discipline, so they already exist in the work we're doing, but calling them out and articulating them is smart.
Yeah, we stay focused on those goals. I mean, stay focused on the growth of pathways in all of the children that it serves. There's so
Yeah.
many of them, and so much of that demographic in Fall River.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more with para training. I think it's so necessary in today's day and age with high technology that we train our paras both in social, emotional, and high-tech stuff, and we incubate them for the process. I think it's awesome.
I think when I was speaking.
You know, I can't agree with Mr. Coogan. While all of these issues are great, they're fantastic, however, the end result is, what did all of these initiatives do for the students?
Right. We're gonna measure that, Joe, the accountability. Everything that you've talked about, that's why I brought this up. So the accountability around test scores, student growth, high school completion rates, attendance, second language proficiency, and then percentage of 11th and 12th graders taking advanced coursework. All of those things will be measured with real numbers. Did we hit the target, yes or no? And we'll be able to be honest about it.
As long as it's, you know, I agree that part with the honesty.
Yeah.
On it. Tell it exactly the way it is. Don't fluff it. Just tell it exactly the way it is in there. And then the next part of that would be, okay, this is exactly what it is, and we're going to do about it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. Superintendent, just, you know, thinking a little more deeply now, I'm really excited about the prospects of the dual language track that we're moving into. I don't know if that would be considered maybe a goal for the future.
Yeah, but I want to fit that under pathways, because we're building the second language, a dual, what do we call it? Dual language.
Yeah.
Likely Viveris is what we've been looking at, but that's a build out this year. I think that's.
I mean, that sounds very exciting.
Just a couple of comments. The first thing I think we need to do is go back to last year and look at what we said we were going to do last year and get a report on whether we did in the timelines that we
That will
indicated.
all be part of the superintendent evaluation. The data's not out yet.
Right. Well, I'm not looking at the data per se, but if there's pieces of last August's meeting where we did this, you know, whatever was on the goals, I think we should go back to those and say, we said we were going to do X by this time. Did we do it? If we not, what's the reason why not? There's some that don't involve the accountability measures from the state, so I think we should get a report on that, just to help us to try and articulate what these, the
And
timelines are.
that's coming. I mean, it's all part of the process. So we'll have that probably within the next 30 days.
Right. I think you understand what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
extended learning time, I've been on the board for 2 years, we've been talking about it. There's timelines that we said we were going to meet that we didn't, we're just going to kick it to another year. Those are the type of things I'm just requesting to get us some data on. The other one is the turnaround schools, to get as much, and I mentioned this at one of the instructional subcommittees, to get us the information from the schools on what their turnaround plans look like, what any reports of the challenges in their buildings, the things that are going on, the demographics, any kind of increased information that we can get before we start making these goals.
Well, I can
Will
send you
help us.
guys, I can send you the monitor site visit reports on our turnaround schools.
Yeah, I think any of that information will help us to say what we think should be in a goal, and some things are important, but maybe they shouldn't be listed because we can only list so many, which I agree with you. I do like the part about as measured by, and be very clear. We could say next August or whatever, this is what we said we were gonna do, and did we do it or did we not? But if we get more info, I think it'll just help us to, including budgetary priorities, like the other
I'll
parts.
probably
of it.
have some stuff out to you Friday's email,
Sounds good.
because I can get all the MSW stuff and I can start articulating what we hit and what we didn't. We definitely didn't, I mean, the ELT we started, GATE we started, we have 2 task force. But there's still more work to be done, and that's why I'm saying we're gonna bring that back and, hopefully around Christmas. But I'll get to that stuff this week.
Mr. Kidd?
Yes, I do, thanks.
Regards to the facilities and capital improvements, we're gonna have those listed out, what we currently have
You're
in
gonna
the works.
You're gonna get a report tonight during the superintendent's comment. And then I also, in my head, I think we need to add transportation in that goal as well, because we're going out to bid this fall, this winter. So I want, transportation has to be part of the capital facilities and transportation. And we'll project manage that.
Right. I mean, just some of, the improvements that you mentioned, Sylvia, Henry, Lloyd, Talbot, and other improvements, because it's not just that, we still got projects going on, I know at Watson.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the completion status of Tansy, stuff like that, just anything else that might be on our radar
Yeah.
that we need to fix in the upcoming year.
Yeah.
Else?
One more comment. I noticed there'll be some new adjustment counselors
Yep.
with some of the extra money that we're gonna be getting this
Requested,
year.
yes.
Which is great. So I want to see that continue to increase in the district because we have a strong need for that.
Right, and under the learning and teaching goals, SEL is now articulated as a goal. And we'll give you specific information on that when we write it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, that whole goal is mushrooming as we speak. I've seen it grow like unbelievably over just the past 3 years. It's become a real major part of our conversation
Yeah.
as to what we have to keep looking at to keep moving forward.
The smartest thing we did was last year's joint venture with Diamond in Atlantis that grew out of the situations that we had at Fonseca. So that task force identifying both the youth at-risk survey need plus the new curriculum that we're implementing, the Choose Love out of the mom from Sandy Hook Elementary School. She spoke at the day we had at the Boys and Girls Club. We're training everyone in that methodology now. We'll continue that for the first month of school. But that's a huge initiative, a key part of our strategy to get better at this work. And that was, Diamond was awesome, Atlantis was awesome, and we had the Archdiocese at the table as well. So we're kind of a whole Fall River City initiative. Community partners were there too.
Anything else? Okay, very good.
All right, so this is the start. We're gonna take this back and keep working. We'll get a draft out prior to the next school committee for more discussion. I envision accepting either October or November for the committee at that time. So there's a lot of stuff that we'll get out to everyone, more dialogue on the floor and open session, and then we'll just keep getting this draft tight. All right?
Very good.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn is made, seconded, roll call.
Mr. Aguirre?
Yes.
Mr. Coogan?
Yes.
Mr. Costa? Mr. Hetzler?
Yes.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Graham?
Yes.